Next time, let's show my parents their grandkids or something.
What?
Mom and Dad said they can't wait to see their grandkids' faces, and if we have kids, maybe they'll be more nicer to you, don't you think?
I reached the peak of my anger and said to my husband, "Stop the car." My husband was surprised. But when I repeatedly said, "Stop the car now," he reluctantly stopped the car. I immediately got out of the car and said, "Let's get a divorce," and left him on the spot. My husband froze as he says,
Excuse me?
"My name is Nina. I am a 30-year-old office worker. My husband Drake and I have been married for 2 years. Our life as a married couple is fine, but there was something that troubled me that I could not overlook. It was about my parents-in-law, Bernie and Maria.
Nina, my mom and dad wants us to come over this weekend."
"What? Again?"
Oh, come on. Don't say it like that. They want us to weed their garden.
"But I was planning to go shopping with my mom this coming weekend." Even when I refused, my husband would not back down one step.
Honey, if I go alone, my mother will complain again, won't she? It would exactly be like what happened the last time.
What happened last time was that my mother-in-law Maria called me repeatedly to annoy me even though I was at work on my day off. Also, I received several text messages from my husband as well, and I couldn't concentrate on my work at all. "But..."
Please, you don't want things to get awkward with my mom and dad, do you?
My husband says so, and so I reluctantly agreed to go to my in-laws' house. It took about 2 hours by car to get to my in-laws' house. In the back seat were the groceries from the supermarket and cleaning supplies. My husband and I are on our way to my in-laws' house almost every weekend to do their house chores.
I'm sorry about that. You promised to be with your mother, didn't you?
My husband says this as we get in the car. It was obvious that he was just saying that without any heart. "Don't worry, I've got it postponed to next week," I replied, forcefully pushing down my sadness. When we arrived at my parents-in-law's house, Maria greeted us. "Oh, Drake, welcome home." Maria would smile hugely at my husband. "Hello, Maria." But to me, she didn't even look at me and would just say, "Hurry up and weed the garden, please." So I went to the garden by myself and started weeding. When I glanced inside the house, I saw my husband, Maria, and Bernie talking happily together. Moreover, there was a cake on the dining table, and the three of them were having tea together elegantly. Why did I have to weed the garden of my parents-in-law's house alone, under such a scorching sun? When I finally finished weeding, it was already almost noon. "Hey, you! How long are you taking? Hurry up and get lunch ready." So I quickly made curry as Maria urged me on to make lunch. But once, seeing my curry, my parents-in-law began to complain to me. "Are you going to make us eat curry?"
You've really underestimated us, haven't you?
"You really are a disgrace as a wife, aren't you?"
Hey, Maria, I want to eat some fried chicken. Let's order delivery.
"Yes, let's do that. Oh, but Nina, please, eat that curry."
But make sure not to eat all of it. We'll have the rest of the curry for dinner.
My in-laws were yelling at me like that and ordered the fried chicken just for themselves. They even handed me the bill for me to pay. What? Why did you give me the bill? I thought it was strange. When I asked my in-laws about it, they looked at me with wide eyes. "Huh? What are you talking about? You're not fit as a wife, so it's normal for you to pay at least that much, right?"
Absolutely. First of all, if you had cooked a decent meal, we wouldn't have had to take delivery.
My in-laws were all over me, blaming me. I glanced at my husband, who was just playing with his phone without saying anything. Why can't he even protect me from his parents? And yet, on the car ride home, he said,
"Oh man, my mother and father was being horrible today, huh?"
If he thinks that his parents were treating me horribly, he could have at least argued against them. So I demanded my husband to pay for my in-laws' delivery. I at least don't have to put up with what my husband says. Then he pleaded me, saying,
Give me a break. I'm having a hard time this month because of the drinking party at work too.
No way. You didn't do anything today. And yet you ate the fried chicken as if it was yours or something, didn't you?
Oh, well, yes, but...
My husband got quiet and didn't say a word until we arrived home. When we arrived home, my husband ended up taking a bath without mentioning what had happened today. I decided to call my mother at that point. Mom, I'm sorry about today, even though we promised.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. You're Drake's wife, so you should take better care of your husband's parents than me. Don't worry about your own mother. Just think about making a happy family for yourself.
Okay, thank you, Mom. I certainly understand what my mother is saying. I want to get along well with my in-laws, and I also want to make our life as a married couple better. But I wonder if I will be able to endure this kind of thing for a long time. I have been with my current company for 3 years now, and it has been a great place to work, with no overtime except during the busy season. I have a good working relationship with my colleagues, and I even talk about my family with them. What? And does that mean you have to work for free every weekend and even get ripped off for lunch? One of my youngest colleagues said in surprise after hearing my story. Yes, something like that.
Oh, that's really not good. I wouldn't be able to stand it.
One of my colleagues who are older than me replies. At lunch, when we each spread out our lunch boxes and chat about our issues, it relieves me of all the stress I have from the weekend.
Nina, you can say what you want to say to your husband more, can't you?
My colleagues would tell me that, but I had a hard time saying it harshly to my husband. My mother told me that since I got married, I should support my husband's family too. So I can't really say that I want to say fully to my husband, you know. But when I think about how this could go on forever, I'm not sure if I can endure it. Then one of my younger colleagues grunt, as she crosses her arms. Would your mom still tell you to put up with it, even in such a situation like this? I think what she thinks about first and foremost is her own daughter's happiness. Then, hearing those words made me realize something. Certainly, I cannot say that I am happy right now. That's how much I've been holding back. This Saturday, I will definitely go home to my mom's house and spend the night. That day, I made up my mind to do so. I told my husband that I was going to stay over during the weekend. And finally, Saturday came. I went to my mom's house in a happy mood. My mother greeted me kindly. I sat in the living room with my mother and enjoyed tea and sweets. I felt as if all the fatigue and exhaustion I had felt up to that point had been healed at once. Hey, Mom, let's go eat something delicious today. A day trip to a spa would be nice, actually, I said to my mother with excitement.
Okay, but are you sure you can be that active? You're working, so why don't you take it easy on your day off?
My mother may have said that out of concern, but for me, I was in the mood to be active. I want to be active today.
I see. Well, let's go out then.
I was really happy to go out with my mother. We had dinner without making any plans. Went to a nice spa, did some shopping, returned to my parents' house, and got drunk with expensive wine and snacks together at night. Originally, my mother used to travel with my father a lot, but after my father passed away, my mother began to just stay at home. It had been a long time since she had been out to various places, and she seemed to be enjoying herself as well, which also made me happy. I was in a great mood as I greeted Sunday morning. I love that I don't have to get up early on the weekend to go to my in-laws' house. Mom, what would you like to do today? Do you want to go for a massage? As I was talking about this, my phone suddenly rings. My husband's name is displayed on the screen. I had a bad feeling about this, but with my mother in front of me, I couldn't just ignore it. Hello?
Oh, Nina, can you come over right away?
Oh, what's wrong?
I'm at my parents' house right now, and my mom fell down the stairs and hurt her leg.
What? Is she okay?
We're in a lot of trouble, so I need you to come over.
But... As I said that, my mother tapped me on the shoulder. I turn around and see my mother smiling at me.
Your husband's parents are in trouble, right? You should go to them.
But I'm here with you, Mom.
I told you that you don't have to put me first, didn't I?
Okay. I told my husband I would be right there and headed for my in-laws' house. When I arrived, I rang the doorbell and my husband greeted me.
Oh, you've come a long way. Well, come on in.
I was concerned that my husband was being extremely calm. As I headed into the living room, I heard Maria and Bernie laughing. When they both saw me, they said,
"You're late,"
angrily. I stood there stunned, not understanding what they meant. My mother-in-law is standing and walking around completely fine. Maria, didn't you hurt your leg? When I said that, Maria grinned. If we didn't say that, you wouldn't have come, would you? I beg your pardon?
Well then, go ahead and clean the storage room.
Saying that, Bernie forcibly handed me the cleaning tools. No way! What are you doing? Hurry the hell up! Maria's angry voice made me jumpy, and I followed my usual habit of obeying her. In my parents-in-law's house, I had no one on my side. Such a situation naturally made me feel weak. The storage room was very dirty. Unfortunately, I was wearing my favorite dress that day. Could I borrow an apron or something? When I asked for an apron, Maria kicked me out saying, I wouldn't lend you such a thing. I was left to clean the dusty storage room with my nice dress. Finally, I finished cleaning and went to the bathroom to wash my hands. My dress was extremely dirty, and since I didn't even get a mask, a lot of dust got in my mouth and made me sick. When I went to the living room, Maria said, Are you finally done? You really are so slow. This was just too much now, and I was at my limit. My in-laws, including my husband, left everything to me while they enjoyed eating their delivery. You are dirty, so please don't come to the dining table. Oh, and that's the bill for our lunch today. My mother-in-law pointed to the bill on the shelf. My husband was eating the delivery happily, not even looking at me. I can't take it anymore. On the ride home, I just sat there in silence and didn't say anything. I wanted my husband to talk to me.
Well, I'm sorry about today. My parents are troublesome, aren't they? Suddenly, they want us to clean the storage room.
Huh? Is that all you got to say? I must have been very angry. I said this to my husband in a cold tone. My husband looked a little flustered and said,
Oh, no, I apologize for lying to you about my mother being injured.
So he is aware that he did something wrong in the first place. Then why didn't he try to protect me? Frustrated, I got quiet. Then my husband made an unbelievable comment.
Next time, let's show my parents their grandkids or something.
What?
Mom and Dad said they can't wait to see their grandkids' faces, and if we have kids, maybe they'll be more nice to you, don't you think?
I reached the peak of my anger and said to my husband, Stop the car. My husband was surprised, but when I repeatedly said, Stop the car now, he reluctantly stopped the car. I immediately got out of the car and said, Let's get a divorce, and left him on the spot. My husband froze as he says, Excuse me? How could he say such ridiculous things while his wife was in this situation? I was so disgusted with my husband. I quickly picked up a cab and headed back to my mother's house. My mother was surprised to see me in a dirty dress. What happened? She must have thought that this was indeed something out of the ordinary. I told my mother about everything that had happened at my parents-in-law's house, my husband's attitude and behavior, and so on. My mother was absolutely mortified. Then she apologized to me.
I'm sorry. If I knew you were suffering so much, I wouldn't have pushed you into a corner like that just because you were Drake's wife.
No, it's not your fault, Mom. I'm the one who didn't talk to you about these issues.
Nina, you should get a divorce. You don't have to put yourself out for people like that anymore.
When my mother said that to me, I felt as if a weight had been lifted from my shoulders. I cried as hard as I could. I immediately took a bath and washed my clothes. Then I ate my mother's home-cooked meal and finally felt at peace. I looked at my phone and saw many incoming calls and texts from my husband. I ignored them for now and rested. The next day, I took the day off from work and packed up my belongings and brought them to my mother's house when my husband was not there. I then left the completed divorce papers on the table. Then that evening, my husband came to visit my mother's house with my parents-in-law.
Hey, what's going on? Talking suddenly about divorce. You even took your stuff out when I knew nothing about it.
My husband begins to yell. My in-laws also stared at me and said terrible things. You're unbelievable, do you know that?
That's why I told Drake not to marry a girl who was raised in a single-parent household.
My in-laws made such unbelievable remarks in front of my mother. As I was thinking that I had to talk back, my mother slammed the table with a loud bang.
How dare you all insult my precious daughter? If you've heard my daughter's story, you're the ones who are insane. You call her every week and abuse her, making her to do tedious housework and even charging her for your lunches?
My mother's angry voice made my in-laws flinch. And then they all got quiet and couldn't talk back because what my mother was saying was absolutely right.
My daughter is not your housekeeper. I will never forgive you people.
Just as my mother said this, the door to the next room opened. Then a man in a suit appeared. I wondered who he was, and the man said, "Hello, I'm Howard, the lawyer." Both Drake's parents were surprised at the sudden appearance of a lawyer. Apparently, this lawyer was the son of a good friend of my mother's, and she contacted him and asked him to come on short notice. The lawyer explained that my husband was to blame and that I could claim divorce and compensations on the grounds that his action and words had caused me to suffer mental distress. My in-laws were absolutely mortified and their faces turned pale when they heard what the lawyer had to say. In the end, my mother said,
"Well, that's the end of the story. I want you all out of this house before I call the police,"
and sent the in-laws away. After that, thanks to the lawyer, I was able to get exactly everything I claimed to be paid. He was a really good lawyer and saved my life. By the way, I heard that my ex-husband got in debt and moved back to his parents' house. However, the neighbors had actually seen how I had been working hard, and when they saw that my ex-husband had come back, they rumored that his wife had abandoned him, and his parents were also talked behind their back, and to be known as the weird people. Moreover, I heard that some people at work have found out about the divorce incident, and people are treating my ex-husband coldly. Well, he deserves everything he gets. Meanwhile, I have returned to my parents' house and am living happily with my mother. I don't want to be in a relationship for a while, so I'm going to enjoy my days with my mother and cherish my time with her. Who do the in-laws think they are? Husbands who do not help their wives are also the worst. I am so glad Nina was able to get rid of these people. I hope Nina and her mother will continue to live happily together. Thank you for watching to the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.